I suppose I should call him my former best friend now, but it's hard to accept that it's all gone just like that. You spend so many years with someone, building a relationship, and one day it all just falls apart. I've known him since high school, which was about 15 years ago. He felt like a sibling to me and like a child to my parents. When we were younger, we were always at each other's houses. He would always come on trips with my family, and I did the same with his. We've shared so many experiences. He was the best man at my wedding, and I would have been the best man at his. We've gone on many trips and spent countless nights out together. We've helped each other countless times. We've had many conversations about life, love, and our personal challenges. He was always the person I turned to when I was in a tough spot or needed advice. It's hard to express how much losing him hurts because, no matter what else he was always there for me when I needed him, and he was a reliable source of guidance. He was a true friend until he wasn't. Losing him may be as painful as losing my wife. I've been married to my wife for almost 5 years, but we've been together for 7. I remember when we first met. It was love at first sight. She was beautiful, with these striking blue eyes and a contagious laugh. We clicked right away, and to my surprise, she said yes when I asked her out. Even though I felt like she was out of my league, I fell even more in love with her as we got to know each other. She had such a passion for life and helping others. She was so kind and gentle with everyone, just a really warm person, and that made me love her even more. I loved being married to her, and I always felt that our marriage was great, not just good. I wasn't one of those husbands who let himself go. I looked after my health and maintained a good diet. I remembered all our anniversaries and special dates. Whenever she spoke to me, I made sure to listen and focus. I genuinely took an interest in her life because I loved her, and it was important to me. However, I made sure to give her room and stayed away from being overly dependent or attached. I ensured I contributed my share of chores at home. I cleaned as much as she did. Our intimate life was great, as far as I could tell. I did my best to love her and care for her the way a husband should and to show her that she was appreciated. I tried my best to keep dating her after we got married. I can say without a doubt that I never took her for granted. I'm unsure of what more I could have done. I've questioned that repeatedly, and I still don't have an answer. I wonder if I did too much. Did she think I was too much of a pushover? Did she not respect me? I'm not saying our marriage was perfect. We did have disagreements, but they were never significant. The issues began when my closest friend ended his relationship with his girlfriend. He was pretty upset about it and took it hard. I talked to him, but my wife asked me one day if I minded if she went out for coffee with him to talk and give him a woman's perspective. I informed her that I was okay with that. She was also friends with my closest friend. We had done couples trips with my friend and his girlfriend, and she had spent a lot of time with him because he was around me so much. I didn't consider it unusual since their relationship always seemed proper. I do remember him saying I was lucky and that she was attractive when we first started dating and when I married her, but there were no inappropriate jokes or anything like that. My wife may have mentioned he was attractive once, but that was all. I saw no red flags, and even after thinking about it more, I still don't see any. I never saw anything that made me think there was ever a chance of them being more than friends. When my wife came back from coffee, she seemed a bit off. She was really upset with his ex and said that he deserved better. I remember telling her something like he's young and he'll heal in time, and she seemed very upset by this. She remarked that he required time and that whoever ended up with him would be very fortunate, and his ex was foolish to let him go. I may be misremembering parts of that conversation, but that was the general idea. She was very vague and didn't provide many details, but it didn't seem odd to me at that time. It seemed like she was being protective in the same way I would be protective of him as my friend. Her behavior started getting stranger after that night. She wasn't doing anything really obvious or suspicious, but she was vague about what she was doing. She would say that she was going to see one of her friends or to run an errand, things like that. I'm not a controlling person, and she had never given me a reason to doubt her, so I didn't make an issue out of it. And honestly, at that time, I didn't find it so strange. I noticed my friend acting strangely, but I assumed it was because of his recent breakup and the sadness that followed. I'd invite him to spend time together, and he would refuse, which was unusual for him. He never gave a specific reason, just said he was occupied. I started seeing him less and less, and when we did meet, he seemed different. I wouldn't say he was nervous, but he definitely appeared uncomfortable. One day, he sent me a message asking me to come over to his place. He said we needed to discuss some things, and that he had something important to share. I drove over without suspecting anything. I knocked on the door, and he came to the door. I tried to make a few jokes and engage in light conversation, but he completely ignored me. He asked me to go into the living room, where I found my wife sitting on his couch. At that moment, I may not have fully realized what was happening, but a feeling of dread started to creep in. She began crying almost as soon as I entered, and my friend immediately spoke up. He told me there was no easy way to say what he was about to say, but he and my wife were in love and wanted to be together. I stood there in complete shock. It felt like I wasn't even present for a while. When I started to regain my composure, they both tried to apologize, saying they loved me and regretted what had happened. They explained that it was not something they had planned, and that they never intended for things to end up like this. They admitted they were wrong, but insisted that their love for each other was what mattered most. Both promised that they had not been physically intimate, and that it was only an emotional affair. I'm not sure if that's true, but I don't know if it really matters. And that is essentially where things stand now. Since that day, I've received more messages from them apologizing. My wife has also sent messages asking if I'm okay and telling me she still cares for me, but I mostly ignore them. The messages have become less frequent over time. She decided to move out of our home, I didn't inquire about her destination, but a friend informed me she moved in with my ex-friend right after leaving. That was only a few months ago. She stopped by the house a few days ago to pick up some things. I tried to avoid her, but she asked if I had a moment to talk. She told me that she and my former friend are trying to have a baby. She wanted to give me a heads up so we can address it as we go through our divorce. She also wanted to tell me personally because she felt I deserved to know and hear it from her directly. It was incredibly painful to hear that she is already moving on. We had planned to have children together, but she wanted to wait until she turned 30. Now, he is going to be the father of her children, and I will have to watch her carry his child. I'm seeking any guidance you can provide. I don't know how to cope with the idea of her getting pregnant. I feel like it's going to be a constant source of pain once it happens. I feel immense jealousy because he is living the life I desired with her. I also know that her getting pregnant truly marks the end. Once that happens, there is no chance of reconciliation. I've thought about asking her to try counseling, but I haven't because I doubt she would be interested since she wants to be with him and build a life together. I also don't know how to process all of this. I can't understand how they both could do something like this, or how I didn't see it coming. I don't understand why she left when we seemed happy. I feel as if I've lost faith in everything. If you can't trust your wife and best friend, and a marriage doesn't last even with the effort I put in, then nothing feels real and life seems like one big lie. Life just isn't fair sometimes. Update. First of all, I want to thank everyone who commented and everyone who sent me messages of support. The past few days have been the best I've had since my wife left. I feel like I'm finally able to think about what comes next. I really don't know how to thank you all, but please know that the support I've received has made a big difference. I don't have much of an update, but I thought you deserved to know a few things. I've decided I'm going to message my former friend's ex to get her side of the breakup story. It may not lead to anything, but I feel like I need to at least try to find out more. I've spoken to one attorney, but haven't seriously pursued hiring a lawyer yet. Next week, I'll start looking more seriously. My friends and family have given me some recommendations, so I'll go through their list. I don't know when I'll start, but I'm pretty sure I'll enroll in some kind of counseling. I don't think my mental state is very good right now, and I don't think I have the tools to pull myself out of this on my own. I need help. I am thinking of writing to my wife and former friend. Many of you asked why I didn't do anything to him when they told me, and it bothered me because I realized I never had the chance to express my feelings and how they have hurt me. I feel like they need to know, even if they don't care. There were many other suggestions about how to handle the situation. I am going to make some changes around my house to try to make things more comfortable here until I can move. I will also try to keep myself occupied, but the hardest part so far has been nights when I am alone, and it is quiet like now. Relevant comments. A Reddit user comments. Depending on your location, you might have the option to file a lawsuit for alienation of affection. I would look into that. I would take strong action against them. This is so painful to read. I genuinely regret that you are experiencing this. OOP replies. I am in North Carolina. I believe that might be a possibility in this situation. I feel like I am in some alternate reality right now, second guessing everything. Update. I want to thank you all again for the messages of support you've sent and all the advice. I never expected internet strangers to care so much about me or my situation, but it has done me a lot of good to be reminded of how kind and good people can be. I tried to respond to most of my messages, but even if I didn't, please know that I read them, and it helped me to know that I had so much support. I also want to apologize to everyone for not updating sooner. I know I have been saying I would post an update for a few weeks, but every time I thought about it, I just couldn't force myself to do it. But I am in a good place to write it today. One of the things a lot of people recommended in the original post was for me to contact my former friend's ex-girlfriend to see if she knew anything about his affair with my wife. I reached out to her, but she validated EF's account of why they broke up. I asked if she had noticed anything unusual or had any reason to suspect he was involved with another woman before they split, and she said she didn't have any suspicions. I doubt she has any reason not to be honest with me, and she seemed genuinely shocked that they ended up together, so I believe her. In my first post, I mentioned writing a letter to my former friend and wife for closure. Most of you advised me not to do this. I decided to follow that advice. I wrote it for myself, but I didn't send it. I think you were right that it was better not to send it since they wouldn't care anyway. I finally chose an attorney to represent me a few weeks ago. He was someone who was recommended to me, and I felt like I could trust him to protect me and make sure I came out of the divorce as well as possible. I officially filed for divorce last week. That was a difficult day, but I knew it had to happen. I won't say that there isn't still a part of me that fantasizes about her coming back and saying she made a mistake and wants to start over, but that's not realistic, and I can't base my life on a fantasy that will never happen. I think any boost I felt leading up to the filing was taken away by the filing, and I have been feeling more depressed again. I looked into some personal counseling as you suggested, but I decided now is not the best time. I recently started a new project at work, and with some of the changes I've made in my life, I've been staying busy, which helps. It may sound strange to say this, but there is also a part of me that doesn't really want to feel better. I sense this is the appropriate feeling when my marriage is coming to an end. Regarding the alienation of affection lawsuit, I decided not to pursue it. I know most of you wanted me to do this, but my attorney told me it wouldn't be easy and he couldn't guarantee anything. I just don't care about the money. Even if I had pursued it and won, it wouldn't have changed anything. My main desire right now is to be done with this as soon as possible. I have decided to move away and start over once this is finished, and I can't do that until my divorce is finalized. The only other notable update I have is that, after my wife received her papers, she contacted me asking if we could meet and talk. I haven't responded and don't know if I will. I feel as though I have nothing more to discuss with her, and I doubt she has anything to share that I would be interested in. As for what I've been doing, I've been running more. I have read some materials and attempted yoga and meditation. I liked the yoga, but not so much the meditation. Work has been much busier, which is good. I thought about learning French, but I will probably put that on hold for now. I have some other projects I started for my hobbies. I took up fishing again. I am just really trying to stay busy so I don't have as much time alone with my thoughts. Regarding the changes I've made around the house, I removed many small items and things that reminded me of my wife. I ended up getting a body pillow for my bed, and although it might seem trivial, it has helped me feel more relaxed. I am still staying in the guest room but might return to the master bedroom soon. At this point, it doesn't matter much. I am still not sleeping well and don't think changing rooms would make a difference. That's about it. I have been reading a lot more about failed relationships through some of the websites that were recommended to me. I watched a video on YouTube that helped me change how I thought about our relationship. I won't provide a link since I'm unsure if that's allowed. But in short, the speaker in the video mentioned that if the person you were with moves on quickly, they probably weren't truly meant for you. I now try to view my wife in that way. I believe she was meant for me, but if she could act this way, perhaps she wasn't. The speaker also made good points about memories and accepting when someone you cared about becomes a memory. That's really all I have to say. It's not a particularly happy or eventful update, but that's how it is, I suppose. Reddit user comments. It seems like she might be seeking a chance to make herself feel better and to get some form of closure. It's surprising to me that after everything she has done, she still feels entitled to that. OOP replies. I can certainly say that my mood has shifted greatly. I no longer feel sadness in the same way, but I am experiencing much more anger. Even just typing about her here makes me really angry. I dislike feeling this way, but it's how I feel regardless. One last comment from OOP. So much has been going on, but I'm not prepared to discuss it at the moment. I know that's not much of an update, but I will try to provide an update when things are in a better place. I just don't know when that will be. As I read this, I felt my heart drop. The betrayal you feel must be beyond our wildest imagination. It's like having a rug pulled out from under you to lose both your wife and your closest friend at the same time. It's scary how suddenly life can transform. Our very loved ones can become complete strangers. You know it's even worse that you did everything right, truly loved her but still came to this point. The mixture of anger, sadness and confusion that may be running through you is something that I only can picture in my mind. This kind of agony shouldn't happen to anyone.